This footage shows a 19-year-old who had just killed her mother, trying to cover it up.
Wait, she's in the ground. So there's...
Who is it?
My mom!
Just moments earlier, Brenda, the mother of 19-year-old Sydney, was on a call with employees from her daughter's university when something deeply unsettling happened.
And Miss Gaffney, what happened next?
There was a very large or a very loud sort of thud sound, like a pounding or a thud, accompanied by a pretty loud scream. We called the number back.
Brenda's number?
Brenda's number that she'd left, and we called twice. The phone was answered.
Okay.
On the third try to the number, and Dean Fraser said something along the lines, "Brenda, is that you? Are you there?" And the voice on the other end said, "Yes, this is Brenda."
Okay. Was that Brenda Powell?
It was not Brenda.
Who did you recognize that voice?
I was sure it was Sydney. Both Dean Fraser and I looked at each other and sort of shook our heads at each other and said, that's not Brenda. And he then said, I don't, Sydney, I think this is you. This is not Brenda.
And what happened next?
The phone went dead.
The police heard Sydney scream loudly when they first arrived at the house, and she was the one who led them to her mother. However, she actively tried to stop the officers from checking on her mom, saying there was a lot of blood.
In front of 50 Cotter. Fire.
I can hear her screaming in there. Front door's locked. Akron Police! Akron Police!
This was when she unlocked the front door, yelling that someone had broken into their house.
Wait, she's in the ground. So there's...
Who is it?
My mom! There's someone broke in the back window.
All right, hold on.
And she's on the ground. And there's
Hold on. Where's your mom? Okay, stay right here.
No, there's so much blood. No, please!
Man!
She's in the corner! No!
Stop! Hold on, we gotta figure out what's going on. Can you sit down? Car 9, get that 32 rolling here quick. We got a female down, blood all over the place. Start some more units, we got a crime scene. Take her outside. Come on. Come on.
Is she gonna be okay?
Come on. Come on.
Yeah.
You just need to cooperate with me, alright?
What you got?
No, there's blood all over. I don't know if she's bleeding out.
Alright, I'm grabbing my gloves.
Secure the scene. She looks like a 22. She looks like she's been down for a while. There's blood all over the place. There's a knife by her head and stuff like that, and there's a huge pool of blood. 43 or? No, I think she just walked in on it. There's a broken window in the back, so if you can just put up some crime scene tape. As soon as AFD gets here, they're going to pronounce her, I'm sure. If you want to check her, I don't think she's breathing.
It looks like she's gonna be a 22 with a slash to her throat.
As the police investigated the injuries, they found that the woman had been stabbed nearly 30 times, and something heavy had been used to hit her head. There was no pulse, yet the officers were trying their best to save the woman. Meanwhile, Sydney was taken outside, where she'd soon meet her father, who was horrified by the news.
You just need to cooperate with me, alright?
I want my dad.
Huh?
I want my dad.
What happened? What's going on? What's going on?
We heard a bang. We heard a bang. And she told me to get out. And then I heard screaming. So I came back and she was on the ground.
Okay, you heard a
I ran
bang.
out back. There was a bang. Someone broken.
Okay. What is your name?
Sydney.
Are you cut?
I don't think so.
Yeah, you're cut somewhere.
I don't think so.
Yeah, your hand.
No, I was helping her. I grabbed her.
Alright, stop. I'll tell you what, can you sit on the ground here real quick?
Dispatch.
Come on.
You said the ground.
Yeah, you're fine right there.
No.
You're fine right there.
Take a call, please.
I grabbed the knife.
Before the Britain Street,
This is minor. They might have a more. I don't know. Check that victim in there. She's got cuts on her hands. I don't know what they have in there, but there's a female down in there. Yeah.
This is Sydney's father, Stephen, who was at work when he received a call from Sydney's university that she was no longer enrolled. He had come to talk about it when he received a notification on the Life 360 app that she was home. Although, he left saying he'd wait for her mother to come back and then talk about it. The next call he received was from one of the police officers.
I don't know. We just got
dad. I'm the dad.
Okay,
Sydney. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Daddy!
What? What the hell? Where's my wife?
The window's broken, Dad!
Where?
The back window's broken in!
So you're gonna have to.
Daddy!
There's officers inside there. So
You okay?
I don't know! She was there
go
with so
check the
much
lady in the
blood!
house. Okay. She's got minor cuts here.
No, you need to go outside, sir.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do. Outside. Back to the
Somebody
right.
call
All the
G-
way back to the
Somebody
right.
call GDs.
Yeah, he's.
Somebody
You already
call
called us.
GDs.
You need to stay outside.
Go ahead.
Please have a seat.
I don't want to. I don't see my dad.
Okay.
What's your name, ma'am? Sorry, what's your name again? She's got cuts on her hands.
Okay.
So.
Take care of her.
Dave, I think this is. Are you dad?
Yeah, I'm the dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have another one,
No,
another one
no.
coming.
No, but somebody's got to take.
I have another med unit coming. All right,
You got some gloves? I got some.
right here.
Oh.
He was helpless, completely unaware of the fact that it was his daughter who had done it. Meanwhile, Sydney was trying to play the victim and wasn't answering very clearly. At one point, she just curled up and lay down on the ground.
Does she have any mental?
No,
Issues?
no,
No?
no. She was having a little trouble at school at Mount Union, and she came back home to try and work things out. Just today is when I found it. She's been, I think she has been going to class for the last couple of weeks.
So she just came home today?
Yeah, today. It's like 11 o'clock.
Sydney. Sydney. Sydney.
What is going on with
Sydney. What's going on?
Just because Mom Union said she wasn't enrolled, but no, I was going to go home and see why she was home so early. And
And did you take your phone with you when you went home?
no,
And why not?
I just left it at work so the 360 app wouldn't show me coming home.
Okay. Did you not want Sydney to be able to see that you were coming home?
I would imagine that was my intent.
Did you stay at home until Brenda got there, or did you leave before she got home?
I left before she got.
The two murder weapons found beside Brenda's body were a heavy frying pan and a large knife. It was such a heinous scene that even the officers had trouble comprehending what must have happened.
Somebody call GDs.
Looks like 22. Throat slashed. Yeah. There's a big knife right there. Don't think so. Big old frying pan. There is a knife by her shoulder, just so you know.
Who did this?
We don't know.
Who's getting one?
I don't feel a pulse.
I did not feel one either.
Several officers were deployed in the neighborhood, trying to find out if anyone had seen or heard anything. Back in the house, officers found blood on the basement wall that had seeped from the floor above. There was a broken window with shards of glass lying on the table and the floor, and bloody footprints all around the house. The father was the only person who could truly help them understand the situation.
Not mental issues. She's not happy at school. And she said she seems to have. She said today, like all her friends have their together and she doesn't. So yeah, we were putting two and two together a while ago. She'd come home on the weekends out of the blue, and nothing really mattered. So they thinking she did this.
I don't know what happened. I wish I did. I pulled up too.
Well,
you want to get out of the rain and sit in the car or no?
Do I need to call Brenda's mom?
Probably should. Why don't you just wait and we'll see what's happening.
Well,
let me ask you, is she having a problem with a guy at school or no?
No, not that.
Okay.
Hey there, can you come up here? They're taking Brenda to General Hospital. I don't know. I'm in the back of a cop car. There's about probably 10 cops. Supposedly it looks like a break-in, but I don't know what's going on. But they're taking her to Akron General.
All I can tell you is I know that they're both injured.
How bad is Brenda?
I didn't see Brenda. I don't know.
Well, they were in there a while. There was no rush.
I know that they want to get her to the hospital as quick as possible. So.
Do you think Sydney did this?
I don't know that. I think that with the broken glass, they want to make sure that there's not a suspect of any kind. That's why I asked about a boyfriend. I don't know.
No, there's not. I mean, I don't know.
A guy giving her a hard time.
No. Is that Jeep?
Yeah, it's Jeep.
I had no clue.
Brenda was taken to the hospital where she was soon pronounced dead. Sydney was also taken to the hospital, but she was arrested that night as evidence pointed to her as the murderer. The question now was, what exactly happened that led her to kill her mother in such a ruthless manner when witnesses said they were the best of friends?
Tell us about Sydney's relationship with Brenda.
It's almost unbreakable. They really were.
They were unbreakable, really close.
They were really close.
Did Sydney and Brenda argue?
No.
Did they ever have loud screaming matches?
No.
Did any arguments ever, did they ever get physical?
No.
Was that a part of who Brenda was or could be?
Not in the least.
Was before March 3rd violence a part of who Sydney was or could be?
No.
Quiet spoken most of the time. We laughed and so forth, but she was a worrier, a little bit of a worrier, and but child worrier type things, like worrying about overrunning a bucket in the barn or something. But other than that, she was always sweet and kind. They also spent a lot of time doing puzzles together, and quiet time that they spent together.
Did you ever see or hear about Sydney and Brenda fighting or arguing or talking disrespectful to each other?
No, never.
In fact, according to her father, Sydney had a really nice childhood. The family, along with Sydney and her younger brother, would often go to Disneyland or to the beach during summer breaks and shared a lot of family time. This was also testified to by her roommate Lauren in one of her interviews.
So, Lauren, let's talk about this. You're her best friend, and I know this is difficult, but tell us about her relationship with her parents.
Her and her parents had a really good relationship. Like, her mom and her were best friends. Probably, like, they did everything together. Like, one of the reasons she went home was to be with her mom. They were always close. She never said anything bad about her mom. She never ever talked about having an argument with her mom. Like, I can't recall every time she'd be going home, she's like, I can't wait to see my mom. Or when she goes home for weekends, she'd be like, oh, my mom wants me to come home so we can hang out and like watch movies. And she loved being home. And she had a good relationship with her dad too. I know that her and her dad liked to watch like Star Wars together, and he always like cooked food at the house. Like, he liked cooking, and she'd always talk about how good his food was and what they would get each other for Christmas and things about spring break. Like, she loved being home like with her family.
So when she's talking to you about the problem she's having at school, did she mention that she tried talking to her parents at all, or that they were going to have that they were involved in her future plans at all?
Yeah, I know she definitely, especially when she left, she talked to her mom about leaving. They kind of made that decision together to leave Mount. Like, she told them that. She didn't tell them for a while, but I knew when everything kind of built up, she was telling them how she was struggling with school. And then when she left, I know that was a decision between like her and her parents, kind of mutual type.
Even the detective was having a hard time understanding the motive behind Sydney's actions when everything in her life seemed picture perfect. To see if she was involved with a boy, The detective tried to pose another question to Lauren.
Did she have any friends that, like, wasn't in your friend circle there? Like, friends that she had maybe made on her own that you're aware of?
Not really, because usually she was either in the dorm or hanging out with us or sorority girls, but I knew all the sorority girls too, that they were my friends. We have a lot of the same friends.
So her circle of friends pretty much consisted of the sorority girls that you were in and some of the cheerleaders that she met through you?
Yeah.
Had you ever seen her taking any drugs or anything, or any medications for nothing? Nothing at all?
No.
Is there anything that you know of that, did you hear from anybody else that she might have done that? Have you ever heard anything like that?
No, I know.
Did she have any boyfriends or any guy friends that she met at Mount Union or back here?
We hung out with fraternity guys, and like she had the same guy friends I did. She did have a boyfriend from about like December before break until January when she came back. They broke up.
So what made it break up?
He cheated on her on New Year's.
Oh, kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'll make you happy.
No, yeah. So yeah, they broke up.
How did she find out that happened?
I had friends at the party that called me and told me, and then I told her.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had to break the news to her.
Yep.
Had she ever, you mentioned that she had the drinking episode. Any kind of like breakdowns or anything, or you mentioned that she had a hard time finding out what she wanted to do, what she studied, but any like real bad episodes that you can recall, anything like that?
I mean, not bad, like I've seen her cry, but not over like mean.
Judging by Lauren's demeanor and body language, the detectives were sure she was telling the truth, as she was calm and not anxious while giving her answers at all.
So if you talked about her anxiety, tell me more about that.
I think since high school, Sydney's been dealing with anxiety. Like I said, she doesn't deal with stress well, so she gets in like, if she's stressed about something, she kind of gets a little worked up over it. She went through a period in high school in her junior year where she just was like almost social anxiety. Like she didn't like to like talk to people other than like our friend group, or go out to like restaurants or stores. Like she didn't really talk to cashiers and stuff like that.
So did any of that ever look weird, dark, anything to you?
She never posted anything, so not really, no.
Tell us about Sydney. How did you, when did you first meet, and how long have you known each other?
I've known Sydney for 6 years. We met the first day of summer gym in high school, and then we were best friends ever since. Very close.
And what was Sydney taking?
Well, she started off in exercise science freshman year, her first semester, but then she didn't like the classes, so she switched over to psychology and sociology, but then she didn't really like that, so this year she switched to education, and then she didn't like that either, and that's one of the reasons she left, is because she really couldn't find what she wanted.
This proves what her dad was saying about Sydney having trouble at college. Maybe it was the reason for an unrealized frustration building up inside her.
The time you spent together at Mount Union, you said that she really wasn't, couldn't find something that she was interested in.
I think her most interest, was psychology, like learning about that stuff, but other than just like hanging out with her friends, like educational wise, it was kind of hard for her, I think.
So she just wasn't, did it seem like, how did this like kind of change affect her? I mean, did it affect her moods at all? Did she seem concerned about it, or tell us about that?
I think she kept a lot of stuff hidden, because when we were just talking or with our friends, she always seemed happy. Like she seemed okay, like I said, I couldn't tell until the end where she was kind of just like struggling, and she kind of was sad and just like, Lauren, I don't know what to do. I'm like, well, you just need to find what makes you happy, and like, just, you need to find what you like to do. And I don't know, I think it did make her a little upset because she was confused. I think she felt like everybody around her kind of had figured out what they wanted to do, and she hadn't. So I think that kind of affected her. And my friends and I were just worried because we didn't even know if she got any books for her classes. Like, we were trying to ask her questions like that, and like, she's like, no, I have books and I have stuff for my classes, but like, I do homework all the time, and I don't think I saw her doing a lot of homework the last couple weeks. So I think this last semester, this January part when she was there, kind of affected her the most.
How you feeling about it?
I'm okay now. The first couple days where I was kind of sad and just confused and shocked, but like I said, I kind of realized that the only thing I can do is kind of tell you guys what happened and my kind of like what I know about her, and just know that I know Sydney, or knew Sydney, how she was, and that's all I can do is just support her and try to help as much as I can.
This academic trouble was very new for Sydney, as she had been an excellent student during her high school years. The lowest grade she'd ever received was a B, and one of her English teachers even elected her as a mentor for younger students. So, what happened to her during college?
What kind of student was she?
She was a good student. So she had a high GPA. She cared about her grades. She did her work. She was conscientious. She was quiet. She was respectful, and had a lot of friends, and was a well-liked student, well-liked person, respected by the faculty.
Was Sydney ever, to your knowledge, in trouble for fighting or arguing?
No, she was not to my knowledge.
Was she ever that kind of kid who was causing trouble, arguing with other students, causing drama, anything like that?
No, never.
The teacher, however, also narrated an incident that highlighted Sydney's anxiety episodes and her obsession with being perfect.
I didn't have a class, so it must have been when I had a planning period, and I was alone in my room, and the two of them came in, and Sydney was crying, and she was, I would say, distraught. And I said, what's wrong? And she said that she had a test, or I think it was a presentation for a chemistry class. And she said, I can't see the numbers. And I said, what? What do you mean you can't see the numbers? She's like, I can't see the numbers. I can't present. I can't see what's in front of me. And I said, okay. I said, how can I help you? What do you want me to do? And she was really upset. She was pretty upset about it. So I said, well, what do you want me to do? Do you want to go down and talk to the teacher, or do you want me to? And she asked me to go. So I went down and I talked to her teacher, and I said, I assume she took the test on another day. I wasn't the person in charge of that test.
Okay. And you've seen other students have nerves when it comes to presenting in front of a class. Is that correct?
I have. No one's ever told me they couldn't read the numbers, but certainly I've seen people be panicked, yes.
Sydney's grades had slipped dramatically during her freshman year, and later, she was suspended from college. However, she didn't tell anyone about it, not even her friends, and continued attending classes until one of the staff members noticed.
When she first came in, I said, Sydney, there seems to be some confusion. It seems as though you haven't moved out of your residence hall yet, from what I can tell. But you're not enrolled this semester. You're not a student here this semester. And at first she replied to me that, oh, I am, but I'm still a student here. And
okay,
I said, well,
did that catch your attention?
It did. And I had double checked before I called to see because I thought maybe she had appealed and I hadn't been notified that an appeal had gone through. So I checked, and there was no schedule for Sydney. And I also checked at that time to make sure that she had received, with the Academic Affairs Office, to make sure she had received the letter and signed for it, in the event that maybe if she didn't get the letter, she didn't know she was suspended, and she had just come back and started going to classes thinking she was, not realizing that she was suspended, on the off chance that could happen. But I was able to verify from the Academic Affairs Office that they had received back from the post office that the letter had been signed for.
She continued hiding it from everyone and living in the college's residential hall until the administration's third warning. She then told her friends that her parents wanted her to stay away from college for some time and left. This was when she arrived at her house at around 11 a.m. and her father was notified.
She's still attending? Well, As far as we knew up until today, yes, but apparently not for the last, I don't know, maybe couple weeks. Because I tried to get on, I don't know, this was a couple weeks ago, I tried to get on the website to I like to check the balance, and she's been coming home on and off on the weekends a little, just odd, little frequently. So she turned off her like Life 360 app. But I think on that app you can't see where she's going. You can kind of see highlights of where the phone was. Well, you know, I'm kind of looking, I'm like going, well, you're not where you're supposed to be. This is kind of weird. Nothing seems out of the ordinary until maybe it was today, I tried to get back. Oh, Mount Union calls me today. Because I sent them an email that says, my user ID is this, my ID is this, my password's not working, my recovery answer won't work, and I know where I was born, I know my car, and it doesn't, when you type in your recovery email, the system just, it didn't recognize it. So I sent Mount Union Billing an email and says, basically, what's wrong? So she called me back today and says, well, the reason you can't get on, long story short, is your daughter's unenrolled. So I went, what's going on? So I text Sydney, I'm like, oh, give me a call. I have a question to ask you. I call her, no answer. I say, give me a call, question to ask. I have a question to ask you. And I look on that little Life 360 app, and her car was at home. I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. So I leave my phone at home so she can't track me. And I go home, and there she is. She's at home. Perfectly normal. I mean, she's crying because I said, what's going on? Are you not going to school? She goes, I'm overwhelmed in school, and I don't really like what I'm doing, and it seems like it's a waste of my time and your money. I said, well, but that's all part of it. Nobody's going to tell you you need to do what you're doing when you're 20. You need to figure it out. But you have to work through the problem. You can't just ignore the problem and have it go away. And then if you have to take the summer off, take the summer off. Figure out what you want. She was supposed to take a summer class because she changed a couple majors. And that's what she was, all my friends have their together and I don't. I said, well, I'm 54 and I don't have my together. Don't look at it that way. You need to work the problem. You can't just have the problem sit there and ignoring it is not going to do you any good. So I went back, I called my wife from my daughter's phone. She picks up, she was working down at Children's. So I left. On the way home, I either on my way back to work or when I'm at work, I call Brenda and she's like, well, I'm just pulling in now. So I let it go, and then I get a text from Brenda that says, waiting for someone from Student Affairs to call me back. And that was at 12:36. I said, check on the scholarship too, make sure she didn't lose that at 12:37. At 12:39, I got on the bank account and I said, maybe. And then at 12:41, what did you discuss with her? And that was it.
So 12:41 was the last.
12:41 was the last, and I don't know how to tell what time I got his call. And it rings on the cell phone, no answer. I call Sydney back, rings, no answer. I call Brenda back, ring, no answer. I'm pacing around. I call Jeep back, and as I'm on the phone with him, telling him there's no answer, my doctor calls me back and said, "Oh, Mom's on the phone with Mount Union." I said, "Well, cops are on the way," and she went, "There's been a break-in," and she just started going off. She said, "What?" She said, "There's been somebody broke into the house. There's blood everywhere." And I'm like, "Stop!" And then that's when I called. I'm sure there was conversations after that, but I'm not going to remember the detail. She was hysterical and crying. I called Jeep back and said, "Yeah, I don't know what I told you. I don't know if I said it was legit or it's the cops on the way. There's been a break-in," and I left.
So at first, when you talked to her, she said that your wife was on the phone with Mount Union.
Yes. And as soon as I said, "Cops are on the way," the hysteria.
This was when the officers broke the news to her father.
Well, really bad news. Your wife passed away.
What happened?
We're not sure. It looks like, I don't think someone broke into the house. I don't know if your wife and daughter got into an argument or got physical. mean, the window was broken, but there's no forced entry into the house. The window's broken, but nobody actually came through that window. And the sliding door was unlocked. So, did your wife and daughter ever have like really heated arguments?
No.
We do help. What do you do?
I don't know what I need. I don't know. I don't know anything. I know nothing. I don't know where to go with Andrew. I don't know where to go to see Brent. I don't know. I have no idea.
He's here.
Yeah, he's probably wondering why the hell he's here.
Yeah. I wouldn't know where to begin. I got you.
Thanks. Sit down. Mom, Dad. No. I don't know. Mommy, I don't know what happened yet. Sydney's hurt. I don't know what happened there. It's just you and me. Sydney did it. I know Sydney's not that. Oh my God, thank you. But I don't know what's going on yet. But they just told me Mom died. Mom. It's just
From everything the detectives could gather, they were able to roughly piece together what must have happened. Just as Brenda began talking to Sydney about what had happened at college, they got into an argument. This was when Brenda sent a voice message to the administration, asking them to call her to confirm the truth. The moment they did, Sydney couldn't bear the frustration of being called out and, in a fit of rage, struck her mother's head multiple times with an iron pan. Then, to make it seem like a break-in, she slashed her mother's throat and stabbed her 30 times. The worst part of all this was that her mother was still alive for some time, but Sydney chose to protect her own image instead of calling an ambulance. She punched the window, causing the cuts on her hands, and began crying, making it seem like an intrusion. She had also hidden the fact that she was schizophrenic, a truth later revealed by her psychiatrists.
Failing was not an option in her mind. In her mind, if she failed, then she was a failure. And I think that is when some of the early manifestations of thought disorder, some of the early auditory hallucinations were manifest. But again, she didn't seek or couldn't seek help because, if you're a successful graduate student athlete at Akron St. Vincent St. Mary's, you don't do that. It was just, it was inconsistent with her picture of herself. I think that things began to, it's kind of like a building wave, and I think the wave really began to get out of control probably in November, December of 2019. And again, I believe that it's very likely that at that point she was already, if she hadn't begun the process even earlier, probably maybe even summer of 19, certainly during the fall of 19, she began to kind of cross the line from normal self-critical thoughts to significantly disordered thoughts, to psychotic thoughts, including highly critical auditory hallucinations. You're worthless, you're a failure, you don't deserve to live.
This information was used by the defense to argue that Sydney had lost her sanity while killing her mother. However, the detectives countered that if that were the case, she wouldn't have consciously lied to her father about her mom being on the phone when she had already murdered her, or to the cops about the supposed intrusion. In September 2023, Sydney was convicted of murder, felonious assault and tampering with evidence for the crime committed in 2020. She was sentenced to life in prison with eligibility for parole after 15 years. Although the conviction may be overturned, with a new trial set to begin on February 7th of this year, a Summit County prosecutor has urged the Ohio court to review the case once again. Regardless of the outcome of the trials, this case serves as a haunting reminder of the devastating consequences of untreated mental health issues. The mind, when burdened with unspoken struggles, can become a ticking time bomb, and when left unchecked, pain can manifest in unthinkable ways. If we continue to neglect these issues, they will not disappear. They will fester, taking on darker forms, sometimes leading to unimaginable tragedies. Perhaps the real tragedy is not just the crime itself, but the silent suffering that went unnoticed until it was too late. YouTube thinks you'll love the video on screen. Click to watch now.